Technology is the most powerful change in the world of education. Welcome to the video interview series Augmented Reality-based Technology in the Classroom, delivered to you by Clever Books Company. Welcome to our podcast series, Augmented Reality Technology in Education, and I'm very pleased to welcome our new guest, Christine, today. Hi, Christine, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Thank you so much for being with us. And I would like to start from your personal introduction. Please help our guests to understand where you're from, what you do, and introduce yourself, please.
Absolutely. My name is Christine Danhoff. I am the Technology Integration Specialist at Genoa Local Schools, which is in Ohio in the United States. I used to be a classroom teacher for a number of years, but have always had a huge love for integrating technology and helping kids become excited. So that's where I landed in this position that's been fairly new in our area. So I'm really excited to be able to work with teachers and work with the students and find the best ways to integrate technology with them.
Sounds great. And I would definitely start with the position is quite new and you're in charge of innovation. So what are the main challenges actually you're facing currently in your position?
So some of the challenges that come up is everyone, just like our students, is at a different level of comfort with technology in the classroom. Some being very open to try new things, right away, and some wanting some extra support. And that's where I kind of come in to say, all right, let me help you. We'll kind of do a co-teaching type activity and get them comfortable with using that tool or resource with the students, and then I can step back and kind of be the, just there to help as needed. But just like with our students, everyone is at a different level. Just have to find where people are at in their comforts that they have with technology.
Sounds great. And I know that we're here today to talk about specifically augmented reality technology in education. So please tell me about your experience with this immersive tech, as they call it, and how did you come across it, and what potential do you see from integrating this specific technology into the classroom?
Augmented reality, I've always been interested in the latest type of technology that's out there. So virtual reality and augmented reality kind of went together, and I did a little research and started finding that it's really easy to integrate augmented reality into educational lessons. So found a couple things and went from that part with it and said, let's give it a try. So we had some old iPads that we had in our district, and I put some apps on there and just started taking it into the class and said, let's see how this goes with the students. And there was a different level of excitement with the kids when they are seeing things that aren't really there with the augmented reality, as different as if they're using a Chromebook or, a laptop or something like that. So their engagement and excitement got me more excited about finding other tools and resources of how can we get them interested about learning about this content and continuing to have that grow with them as well.
That's fascinating. And as you mentioned that the students actually draw you into learning more about the whole technology, etc. But I am really interested to know what were their first reaction where you actually proposed the first solution and they saw the whole augmented world in front of them.
Right, and it's different because I do pre-K all the way up to 12th grade. So of course their reactions are totally different. The elementary kids, of course, they're like, whoa, and they're trying to reach out and try and grab those objects that might not really be there, of course, with the augmented reality. As with the high school, middle school kids, they're excited as well, but they don't let you know quite as much right off of there. But you kind of hear them whispering in the background, oh, that was really cool, and I'm going to try that. And, one of the things with augmented reality is it's becoming so popular in our world, and you see more and more apps out there. You see that it's part of the workplace now and training, and I just want to make sure that our students have that opportunity to have exposure to this technology that they may be using in their workforce and using in their training of their next job that they may do in the future that we don't even know what they're going to do yet.
I really like what you said about, we never know what the jobs of the future will be, and we're here to prepare the students for the future. So, but when we talk about the overwhelming amount of application now, as you've probably seen in the last few years, the augmented reality technology have developed, and obviously first it wasn't really tailored to education, but gradually did move to this sector. And there's quite a lot for educators to choose from. So maybe you can share your personal opinion about what would be the best way to actually find the augmented reality applications and software that work the best for different grade levels.
Right. Well, you know where I actually first started to get a lot of ideas of new apps that were out there is Twitter, actually.
Okay.
Twitter has been a great professional learning network for me to just connect with other educators that are interested in augmented reality and virtual reality. And as you follow some of those Twitter chats or follow some of those other educators or integration specialists, it starts to pop up that they're trying this, and it makes you think, well, let me see what that is. I haven't heard about that. So that whole communication piece, I think, and reaching out beyond, we're in a small rural district and I'm the only one in my district, but being able to reach out and talk to other people, such as yourself, even, in a different country, and being able to connect and talk about similar interests is a place I started to find all those apps. And there's so much out there that you could find those. The other place is just going into the App Store and searching augmented reality, for education, and seeing which ones are educational apps that come up, and just kind of looking at the reviews. What is this about? How is it going to meet my science teacher or my language arts teacher? Or how could I integrate that into something they're already doing in their class? So my biggest one, of course, is Twitter, that I would say is a great place to connect with. And then, of course, just searching, too, is a great place, too.
Sounds great. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it, how Twitter has become, for educators, one of the main tools for finding information and getting into contact maybe with educators worldwide.
Right.
But if we're talking about, for example, if the teachers are very new to the whole augmented reality, augmented learning concept, what would be your suggestion of where to start and, how to actually integrate the augmented learning into the lesson plan?
I definitely, just like with anything else that is a new tool or resource that you're going to try and implement in the classroom, is start small. Don't think that you're going to be doing 5 different apps and your kids are going to be creating these augmented reality worlds. Start first with something that's quite simple. Start with a trigger image that they could have that's already there, and work with that. So that way they can experience it first, because you want to know how your students are going to react to it. And then you can take that experience a little further and start integrating in some questioning and your actual lessons that you're doing with your students, and then building upon that the more they feel comfortable then, and having the students actually create their own augmented reality experiences, which is very, very easy to do now with all the different software and cloud-based activities and programs out there now. So you can keep building on that as the comfort level goes up as well.
So some of the teachers who are new to this concept will take this advice on board, and that will be kind of the starting point for them. But you've also mentioned that obviously there are some software that is pre-designed, and teachers just take it and use it and have it in front of the kids to experience what AR is. But on the other hand, there are obviously software that helps the teachers to integrate that in the lesson and help the kids to actually develop their own. What do you think, how do you think is it different to the grade level? What is more beneficial for maybe the younger kids comparing to the older grades?
Definitely. And, starting with, like I said, I work with the younger students as well, pre-K, kindergarten, first, second, even third. they're at that kind of experience level. So letting them experience augmented reality, being able to record some things and tell about it. Then moving it up from there, once they get in about 4th grade here, I believe that they are very capable of starting some of the beginning stages of creating their own simple augmented reality triggers. And we did that actually with some of our 4th grade students, and it was really exciting for them to try something different than just making a project, a poster project. They turned it into a trigger image that had all of their information on there. So that was awesome. And then definitely as they move through middle school and high school, they can start to have those experiences, adding coding to them and being able to make them move and adding all those different features as they mature and as they grow too.
That's amazing to see the whole development, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's interesting that some of the one of the guests at our podcast, they said that the kids, it's not really the teachers who are navigating how quickly the kids can move from experiencing AR to developing their own AR, but the kids are actually telling them when they're ready. What is your experience about that?
I think it is, and that's one of the things I see as a tech integration specialist is, sometimes as teachers we feel like we have to know how to do this specific thing, or I need to know how to create this augmented reality experience myself, when really it's just the opposite. Your kids are very capable and very excited to figure those things out on their own, and then they can push the teacher kind of and say, well, I've already made this, what's the next thing I can do with it? And that's what's really cool to see, is because one, you have the kids very excited about learning and interested. Two, they're wanting to learn on their own too, with the teacher now becoming the facilitator instead of instructor standing in front of the room telling them every step that they need to do. So that problem solving for the students is being built, their collaboration and working with other students to figure out these problems and build upon them. So it's a really neat process to see, and I'm hoping that we can continue to do that in our school district as well.
Well, I really like that you pointed out about the teacher to be a facilitator, and the interesting thing that you have mentioned those skills that the augmented learning is helping to develop as critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving. So, but if we shift from this as one of the benefits that kids actually get from augmented learning to the challenges that come with this, what would be your suggestions or your observations in this regard?
I think the biggest challenge that just by working with other teachers that I've heard is not having the device or the ability to be able to use some of these augmented reality apps or to create with these augmented reality experiences. Not that they are not willing or want to try it, but they're kind of being inhibited by the amount of, if they don't have an iPad or an Android device or something that is going to run the new augmented reality type experiences. So that's one of the challenges I think a lot of times schools face is, where are we going to get the money to have this so that way we can have the kids create these experiences and experience them. So that's one of the tricky things that, a lot of schools face, but hopefully we can get beyond that and continue to be innovative and move forward.
Right. As I see that to have a strong infrastructure in school is one of the main issues that school face. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, from your experience, from talking to other educators, do you see any other walls or maybe rejection from educators and the reasons why they say that this is not the technology for us to integrate?
Luckily, I have not had too many people. Usually when I've gone to talk with other educators, they've been pretty open and excited to try something new with their students, which I think that's that whole growth mindset part of, being willing to try something new. So I'm very thankful for that, but I know that there may be some that may be worried that, I don't have time for this in my schedule. We have state testing that we have coming up, so some of those other things besides just the infrastructure is feeling kind of that pressure of, my students have to know X, Y, and Z for a state test, and their scores more matter to them. But being able to say that, well, with augmented reality, and by integrating some of these, it's going to still help your students learn those same skills, and help them be successful on these tests. And sometimes that is the challenge of helping them see that it's not just, set A here of doing it this way, but if you kind of build in that problem-based and project-based learning with it, it's going to all in the end come out to a successful outcome.
Right. It's interesting that you've mentioned about, the standardized testing and basically the teaching floating towards the kids passing the tests. And as far as I understand, that there's not much time that some teachers can devote into bringing innovative technology, not just augmented reality.
Right.
What would be your suggestion? How can they actually find time and give the kids opportunity to use something like that in the classroom?
I think one of the biggest thing is, like I said, having the growth mindset, number one, being able to be open to say, okay, there's got to be another way that I can do this. But then two, collaborating just with your team, even if you're within your district, or reaching out, like I said, with a personal learning network, on Twitter or wherever it might be, friend that works somewhere else, and just understanding and taking that little bit of time, even if it's, 5-10 minutes here or there, and saying, well, what did you do when you, taught this lesson? What could I do differently? And just being willing to open up ideas of, oh, maybe I could integrate this instead, and maybe it will change my students' outcomes or how excited they are about learning this content. So it all starts with, I think, just being willing to take that 5-10 minutes or hour, however long it's going to be, and just being willing to try something new with it.
Quite a lot of people talking about, educators talking about integration of AR and the benefits it has on kids' learning. But what is your experience on the actual outcome from integrating this technology? What observation did you have of kids actually decreasing their knowledge in the subject or increasing the knowledge from the subject?
My experience with having students use augmented reality is that their knowledge has increased after doing it. They feel more of an ownership about it if they're creating, especially if they're creating the augmented reality experience. They've kind of taken ownership of that. They've researched it. They know what they put into it. So of course it's going to be more meaningful to them if they're just, doing a rote paper pencil type activity. Same thing with, even if they're just experiencing it, their engagement level is exciting. I've heard kids, go home and tell their parents, this is what we did today. And it may be the same thing they would have done before on a worksheet, or done watching a video in the classroom. But with the augmented reality, it's just something new that gets them excited and keeps their interest as they go. So positive outcomes is my experience so far, and I hope that continues too.
You have shared already experience about how the benefits of it, the possibilities that it gives. But what are the highlights from your experience, something that really gives you a say that, yes, I will continue using that, something very memorable that's really left a mark in your professional experience?
I think just hearing and seeing how the students react, like I said, hearing them talk off to the side and say, that was really cool, for the kids that are older that might not say that in front of everyone in class. But hearing those comments keeps me wanting to say, what else can we find for these kids to make school fun for them, to make it engaging, but also helping them feel like they are creating and being successful at something, whereas before they may have not felt successful at it. So those are the type of things when I see how kids react to those, augmented reality or any sort of technology resource or tool that gets them excited, keeps me wanting to find more and find new ways to integrate it into other subjects for them.
It sounds like you're extremely passionate about the whole topic. So is there anything else that I've missed out in my questions that you really wanted to bring out on this podcast?
I think with teachers and being a former teacher in the classroom myself is, like I said before, just being willing to be open-minded, to try something new. Things may not go perfect the first time you do them, and I've had that happen many times, but it just means that you're going to try again, or you're going to try in a different way. I do love what I do, and I love working with the kids and finding new tools to use in the classroom, and I think I'll continue to do that, of course, and work with them. So I think that's just one of the biggest things, is just being willing to try something new, not 10 things. You can try one thing, and then take it from there and see what else you can find.
Christine, thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you so much for sharing your experience. It sounds great. It sounds very promising, and I really hope that looking at you and at your experience, and also at the benefits that kids actually do get from the experience of augmented learning, that we can have more educators worldwide who do onboard this technology, who do see the benefits, and who do see actually the outcome that this technology enables the kids to achieve.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So thank you so much for being with us, Christine.
Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it.
Everything changes.